In the second-floor cafe, they assembled and shared what information they could. Akira and Makoto did most of the talking, with Akira occasionally turning to Akechi to confirm some fact or theory. Akechi's replies were hushed and curt, as if speaking too much would summon some kind of avalanche. Futaba spent most of the time with her console up, intently scanning for something in that knotted grid. All of them had propped their masks up on their foreheads, save for Futaba, who needed her goggles to work, and Akechi, whose helmet remained firmly in place. And there's also the fact that Morgana never takes his mask off, so, And that's about all we know, Akira finished. The individual responsible for paranoia syndrome is skulking around down here, and I wasn't supposed to leave until he was dealt with. That just turned out to be tougher than I thought. He probably would have knocked my head off if Akechi hadn't bailed me out. It's gotten so much worse on our side, dude, Ryuji said. People are coming down with this paranoia stuff left and right. And that's not the half of it, Makoto added. We don't know the true number of victims exactly, but a 4 or even 5-digit number wouldn't be significant on a global scale. But social media and the attempted cover-ups are making their impact on the public psyche far more severe. It feels like civilization's hanging on by a thread. An shook her head. What I don't get is why. This all got going when that video of Tsukiko Miname started to circulate, but what does that have to do with anything? I'm just gonna copy the name for reference. I believe I have a theory for that. They all faced Akechi, who'd taken his old seat at the bar, arms crossed. He seemed deep in thought. Kurusu told me about the true nature of mementos. The fortress of indolence, was it? Shadows created by the populace's blind need to remain insulated from the world's troubles. And paranoia syndrome is very troubling indeed. As this bad news spreads, the general public may become slothful, willfully ignorant. They may become wrathful, angry at the ineffectual authorities, wishing for the problem to go away without their intervention, wishing for whatever created the problem to be punished, or any other number of desires, until those desires become distorted. Creating shadows, Morgana said. Something for this individual to hunt. Exactly. As paranoia syndrome grows into public consciousness, it spawns more shadows, which allows this stranger to hunt his prey in ever greater numbers, and grow paranoia syndrome further. A vicious cycle. If Akechi's correct, then it was only a matter of time, said Makoto. It's like Oya said, this couldn't have stayed buried forever. Still haven't gotten back to that tarot prophecy yet, but I will eventually. And that means we need to bring this guy down ASAP, said Akira. Futaba, have you found anything? A big fat 0. Everything worth mentioning in a 2-kilometer radius is right in this room. Then we'll have to get him to come our way. Fortunately, that shouldn't be a problem with all of us here. I know this place is soggy, but you should be able to get a pretty good blaze going if you... First, said Makoto, we're taking you home. Akira blinked. He looked at the surrounding faces. All of them seemed to be in agreement, except for Yusuke, who was staring out the window. He looked at Akechi. Akechi averted his gaze. Akira said, That's not a good idea. If you take me out, I'll just wake up in a hospital bed. Ryuji snorted. Good. Morgana tells us your parents are losing their minds. We ain't letting you putter around for another week. I just said we could draw him here. In fairness to Sakamoto, Akechi said, that plan didn't work last time. Our target speaks little, but he's clearly no fool. And neither am I, Morgana piped up. Now that I've taken everybody here once, I'm pretty sure I can find the way back even without your scent to guide me around. You guys just said this is time sensitive. With me around, you'll get it done way faster than... As bad as things may seem, the world is not going to end tomorrow, said Makoto. We are evacuating you, Akira, for the sake of your family and for Mr. Sakura. That is final. Haru stood up, walked over to Akira's seat, and gently took him by the hand. Please don't argue, Akira. We've all made up our minds. The way she was standing, only Akira could see the look on her face. His skin turned a shade paler. Fine, he said. Then he jabbed a thumb at Akechi. What about him? Ryuji glanced over. What about him? We drag his ass out, then hand it over to the cops. That would be acceptable, Akechi said. But if possible, I would first like to assist you all in subduing your enemy. Hell no! I'm for it, Morgana said. Ryuji straightened in his seat, eyes burning. Are you shitting me, cat? Morgana wheeled on him. For once in your life, Sakamoto, use your damn head. We're weakened and facing a totally unknown adversary, and here's a potential ally at full strength with intimate knowledge of both him and this entire region. A true Phantom Thief uses all the tools at his disposal. Please don't call him that, Morgana, Haru said quietly. What? No, that's not... what I meant was... He gave up and faced Akechi. Sorry. It's fine. And accurate. I understand Sakamoto's concerns. I did betray you once already. Yeah, so I kind of figure you won't try to pull that again, An said. I'll throw my vote on the yes pile. We can deal with the rest after this paranoia syndrome stuff is done. Makoto sighed and massaged her temples. We'd have to do some real fast talking with Boss, but I suppose we could stash him in the Blancs attic. It's already held one fugitive and for a much longer time. Futaba, what do you... Dramatic pausing. Tea drinking. Tea pausing. Mona's right. She kept scanning. We need him. I'll just pretend he doesn't exist. And I don't want him to talk to me, or look at me, or mention my name. Akira stood up, cutting off Ryuji's stuttered attempt at a reply. If we're going, then let's go, he said. We can discuss this further in the car. Yusuke, did you catch any of that? He didn't look away from the window. The key points, yes. I too believe that Akechi's services would be useful. Though I wish to remind you all that our decision should remain unanimous. Like I said, we'll talk in the car. He beckoned to Akechi. Let's go. You can ride shotgun. You'll be riding shotgun underneath the hot sun. The hot black sun. There. Akechi nodded. That seems like a good idea. They silently trooped outside, where Morgana transformed and let them pile in. Makoto and Akechi up front, Akira sandwiched between Ryuji and An in the middle seat, and Haru, Futaba, and Yusuke taking up the back. As Makoto started up the engine and returned the way they'd... Pardon me. As Makoto started up the engine and returned the way they'd come, the atmosphere wasn't as celebratory as they would have liked. Akira stared down at his feet. Akechi had scooched to the edge of his seat, like he wanted to keep as much distance between him and the other thieves as possible. I took a quick sip of my tea to keep this video padding. Padding done. It was Morgana himself who tried to break the ice first, his voice buzzing through the van's radio. Like in the original Morgana Car, was there like a radio or something that he could talk to the others out of? Or could he also talk out of his front fender? Or front grille? I know the Morgana Car doesn't have a mouth, so he needs to speak out of something. How else would they still hear him talking in car form? We came in through the metro, like usual, so it won't be a long drive. Good thing, too. If we hung around here too late, then we would have been locked in after the place closed. I'm not even sure where to start picking those locks. Akechi glanced at the radio. You can pick locks without thumbs. Pfft. I fixed up cars without thumbs. Thumbs are overrated. For those who've seen the true ending of the original Persona 5, that is very much true. Akechi, you know that you can take off that helmet, right? Makoto tried to keep her voice light. I don't think my driving is that bad. I'm fine, thank you. He straightened up and checked the rearview mirror. Akira still had his head down, his fingers pressed together. Kurusu, are you feeling all right? Ryuji scoffed. The hell do you care? Ryuji, An said. None of us are exactly members of the Goro Akechi fan club, but you're being a real dick about... Can I say something? Akira asked. You can. I'm just going to take a quick sip. And by the sound that I made, I wasn't just sipping, I was finishing the rest of my tea before it could get cold. Back to the video. They all fell silent. Akira was fairly low-key, unless he was summoning his personas or ripping a shadow's face off. But now his voice was unusually subdued, even for him. He almost sounded ashamed. I know I worried all of you a lot, messing around down here, he said. I just don't want you to think I was trying to play it cool or something. I was thinking about you guys the whole time. I knew how bad I messed up, taking so long. His eyes flicked between Ryuji and An. Just don't get the wrong idea about me, okay? Even though I'm not around anymore, you're all still important to me. Anytime you need me, you give me a call. Just like Futaba did. Doesn't matter where I am or where you are. I promise I'll come running. For a long while, the only sound was the hum of Morgana's engine. Then Ryuji solemnly reached out to Akira. Ryuji, what are you... Oh, okay, this is another headlock. That's what we're doing. Ow. Ow! Uncle! Shut up and take it, dude! He grinned and dug his knuckles into Akira's scalp. How'd you like that, you big softy? Don't feel it. Too much hair. Damn, you beat me. Ryuji released him and lightly punched his arm. Come on, man. I talk shit about you sometimes, but I know we're bros. We all knew that you'd have done the same thing if it was any of us stuck here, An said. Indeed. Yusuke took his shoulder. The bonds we share wouldn't even strain under such a trifling thing as this. If you're already this torn up about it, then why don't you come visit? Futaba asked. You should do that. I demand that you come visit immediately. Haru raised her hand. Just give me a heads up first. I want to plan something big for it. Holy shit, guys! Ryuji grinned. I think he's blushing. I am not blushing. Oh wow, he is. Akira, I didn't think you could feel embarrassed. I can't. I'm immune. Quit staring. They're having fun. Morgana's voice crackled. Makoto nodded and turned a corner. They've all built up a lot of stress. Hopefully we can work it out on this enemy of ours and get back to something resembling normal life. She glanced over. Akechi, are you okay? Ryuji leaned over. Yeah, you got something to say, smart guy? I was just thinking, said Akechi, about how I tried to betray you. He stared out the window as the group went silent. I was so sure that my plan had worked, right up until it became clear you'd outsmarted me. I should have paid closer attention. He sighed. Listening to you all now, it's obvious that I never had a chance. Ryuji's sneer faltered a little, and he settled back in his seat. Well, yeah, no shit. Glad you figured that out. He groaned. Oh, fine. I'm tired of feeling like the jackass in this car. He can help us out, but we're still hauling him to jail after. There was never any argument about that, said Akechi. But thank you. And there is the unanimous vote, said Yusuke. Well done, everybody. And it's only a few more blocks to Central Street. Makoto studiously flicked the blinkers on and turned. Once we're all back in the real world, we can figure out what to